Do you have something inspiring to say? Have you always known that your voice can contribute to the world? Is now the time? Yes, now is the time. The world is waiting for you. Welcome to the Inspired Choices Network Open Mic Spotlight Show. Today, we have an inspiring guest who is ready to share their voice with the world. Now, on to the show.
Welcome, everyone, to our Open Mic Spotlight Show. We have another wonderful guest with us today. Mary Dravis-Parrish is going to be speaking to us today about empowered parents, empowering kids. I'm really looking forward to this. Mary is known as a parent whisperer. I think we needed to have Mary in this time for many, many, many centuries, because there's a lot of parents out there, myself included, that would have loved to have had somebody whispering in my ear while I was parenting. And in fact, Mary, I probably could have used you last night. So it's always an interesting time when we're parenting our children, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
So before we dive deep, I would love to share with everyone a little bit about Mary. Mary is, for Mary, life was not going the way she thought it would. She did all the right things, followed advice and rules from family and experts, and yet her life was in pieces. She was very disappointed in her choices, the outcomes, and the directions she was going. Then her teenage son took his life. Her marriage ended. She felt trapped without nowhere to turn, full of guilt, feeling like a failure. Mary asked, what will it take to make my life worth living? How do I go on in this world and be a parent to my remaining sons? These questions began to open the doors to a different possibility for Mary that she had not even allowed herself to dream about, a life of joy, fun, adventure, choice, love, kindness, and success, being empowered and being a confident parent. Mary is now a celebrated international author, speaker, and facilitator of empowered conscious living, sharing with her clients the secrets she learned to create an empowered life. Her favorite clients are parents, knowing that empowered parents raise empowered kids for a greater world. She shares simple strategies that are highly effective, such as questioning strategies, release of expectation techniques, empowered techniques, and many more. As a certified facilitator, Mary has equipped hundreds of individuals, parents, and children with her simple strategies to create greater possibilities. Applying her BU parenting strategies, training, and tools, she facilitates change in people's lives so that they have more confidence, awareness, joy, and fun in all her lives, in all their living. Sorry. Mary, that is a touching, empowering, and very moving bio, and I'm sure that our listeners are going to have lots of questions, but I'm just going to ask right now, how does one go from being the mother of a child who chose to leave to empowering others? That is just phenomenal.
Well, it's been quite the journey, Christine, and one that I have come to be very grateful for, as it has turned my life around so that I could tap into who I truly be here in this world and how I show up, and recognizing that for so many years I wasn't. I was hidden behind a veil, afraid to show up. And, you know, when life comes to these crossroads where you choose to stay or leave, I still had a lot that I wanted to be here for, but I was really being pulled in the other direction. And you know, I knew I was going to have to do a lot different in my life. I was going to have to really connect to what I knew, ask questions, and step into that place where I could choose freely for myself and let go of all the judgments that I held around any of that. And so it's been quite a journey, and I'm really grateful to be able to be here to assist other parents, other beings who feel trapped, who feel like they don't know where to go for whatever reason, and to give them that sense of something greater lies just beyond if you're just willing to be here for it.
Yeah, you know, the word that you used, feeling trapped, I mean, how many of us have felt trapped at one time or another as parents? And, as a young mother, when my son was very, very small and I was still trying to figure out who I was and what I was going to do in the world, feeling trapped as in, oh my gosh, I have this child, I have this being, life in my hands, and I don't even know what the hell I'm doing for me. And, right, like just going,
yeah,
oh my God, somebody needs to drive this bus because I clearly have no idea which direction I'm driving in. And this is going on everywhere. And the thing that you said in your bio, where we have to get unattached from everybody else's opinions and all the other experts out there. I mean, I can remember at a time, Mary, kind of looking for some guidance and then feeling like, oh my God, now I feel like I'm swimming in an ocean of advice, and now I feel like I'm drowning in it.
Right. And did you ever notice, Christine, in a part of that, in some of that advice that you were giving, that it just didn't feel right, but yet you felt like you had to do it because somebody else said you should, even though it didn't feel right for you? Yeah. And that was the part that I was like,
I was just going to say, it felt like, yeah, exactly. I just felt like, well, I'm just a young mother, so I sure as hell don't know what the hell I'm doing. So everybody else must be right, and I absolutely have got to be wrong because I'm the one that's feeling like crap in this.
Yeah. And when we can step out of that wrongness and learn how to access what we do know. I was just talking to a mother yesterday, and she said, I became a mother, and it just seemed like, everybody thought you should just know what you're supposed to do. And while there's some truth in that, I think what keeps us from knowing how to be here and to know what's required involves letting go of all those beliefs, those lies, those judgments that we've placed upon ourselves, those expectations of what it has to look like. And when we can begin to let go of those and have some space and some freedom to be with what we do know and what we sense as true or what's required, and learn these different ways of being with ourselves, then we can actually have sense of what's needed for our children.
Mm-hmm.
But we do need to do it for ourselves.
Yeah, that's interesting because most parents are focusing on the child.
Yeah.
And right, we're looking at them, we're trying to figure out how to, either make them happy or make them behave. It seems like it's one of those two things, right? And we just keep looking at them, and we're missing us as the parents in the picture.
Right. And that's exactly why.
Go ahead.
That's exactly why we call it BU parenting, because that's my focus. Is nobody really pointed out the things for me that I could be something. Who am I being when I'm showing up with my kids? And I think our kids, they mirror to us how we're showing up. And, I think in part of that, they're really asking, and some of them are demanding that you let go of that stuff and that you do show up as you and let go of your fear and your worry and to trust them and believe in them. But you've got to do it for yourself before you can do it for others.
Yeah, that's just, sorry, my head is spinning in 6 directions looking at my own parenting, over the last many years, and as well as looking at people that I care about in their parenting and how they judge themselves. So, yeah. Mary, what is it that you enjoy about working with parents?
Oh, I just light up when I see them connect to a greater possibility, when they get that big aha, just when I simply ask a question. I love watching them step out of their own trap, their own muck, their own sense of not seeing themselves for who they truly are. And I can just right now just picture the faces of parents that as they got that sense of who they are and that they're so much greater than what they've ever known before, their whole being just lights up. And I know that when they take that home to their kids, I know that it changes things for their kids. And they come back and they tell me, it's like, as I'm changing, my kids are changing, and in such a way that we communicate, we don't have conflicts like we did before. And I'm able to be an allowance of them for who they are. I quit trying to make them into something because I'm stopped trying to make myself into something I'm not. And that just lights me up and keeps me going and reinforces for me that we need more and more and more of this in the world. We really need to transform how parenting is done.
I so agree with you. And, it's interesting when I talk to parents, and one of the things I say to them, because we're so great at beating ourselves up as parents, right? And one of the things I say to them is there's 3 things that we're not taught in school. We're not taught how to be parents. We're not taught how to be in relationships, and we're not taught how to deal with money. And those are the 3 primary spaces and places in the world where people are struggling. So we need to just give ourselves a break, first of all, and say, hey, nobody's been teaching me this, so I need to give myself a break in that, right?
Right, and nobody's really taught you how to be you. I mean, in all of those cases, it's like we don't know how to show up as knowing what we know, trusting ourselves, the freedom to choose to be in a different type of awareness, and it is about letting go of those judgments and things that we've bought along the way that keep us from being able to access what we really know.
Yeah, so good, so good. So tell us about your simple strategies and how parenting can be simple.
Well,
can we dive into that?
Yes, it starts so much with being able to, first of all, acknowledge what's going on. Like, what do you notice? What's happening? But to do it without any judgment. Because when you can bring something, whether it's something that you're feeling accomplished about or whether it's something you feel like you haven't done so well at, once you bring it out into the light and you look at it and you just acknowledge it for what it is, and then you can begin to ask questions. So I find questioning is just so powerful in simple questions like, what else is possible here that I've just never even considered? What's beyond this that I'm just stuck in this place? What's really happening that I'm not allowing myself to be aware of because I'm being triggered or I'm being pulled back into my own past, that I can't even see what's happening for my child or what my reaction is. And so really coming into that space of being the question and the allowance to make choices that you don't need to judge, choices so that you can at least step out and get more awareness of what is going on. Every choice that we make gives us more information, gets us more in being who we are. And I just find these questions are the simplest thing, and they're the easiest way to communicate with your kids in gathering information, letting go of your expectations to just find out what's really going on. And then that's where we need to start, whether it's we're dealing with ourselves, we're dealing with our kids, we're dealing with money, we're dealing with relationships, asking these questions.
It's true. I really love the piece about being an allowance. I'm sure that you've seen over time when parents are in allowance of their own choices, even like all the past choices they've ever made, that they begin to be an allowance of any choice that their children are making.
Right. And knowing that you empower them by having those choices and allowing them to experience what they become aware of through their choices. I mean, this is the whole purpose for being a parent, I believe, is to be there to support, to guide, to give them questions, to allow them to have the experience of life. And it's not always going to go airy-fairy or happy, and there's going to be bumps in the road, but we want them to know they can get over the bumps and that everything will be fine because we believe in them and we know that they're empowered to handle whatever comes their way because of who they are.
I like that. I really like that. Well, we are already up to our first break. Mary, these shows go fast. I'm telling you. Well, I'm really happy you're here, and I'm looking forward to hearing more about what you have to share with all of us right after the commercial break. So stay tuned, everyone. We will be back here on the Open Mic Spotlight Show very, very shortly with Mary, and we're talking all about empowered parents empowering kids. We'll be right back.
Do you have something inspiring to say? Would you like a taste of being one of our inspired hosts? Get on the air on the Inspired Choices Network Open Mic Spotlight Show. The Open Mic Spotlight Show is your time to shine and inspire our global audience. Shows air at 9 a.m. on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday each week. Claim your spot today. Simply contact our network owner at info@inspiredchoicesnetwork.com. Forget the days of 5 minutes of fame. Now you can have 55 minutes of fame.
Are you a subject matter expert? Are you here to share your expertise with an audience waiting to hear from you in only the way you can deliver? Are you ready to have your voice amplified across the airwaves? Inspired Choices Network has a global radio platform streaming to millions of people across the world. Professionally produced and supported by an accomplished team every step of the way, you can broadcast from anywhere in the world, knowing your voice matters, and we ensure it is delivered with ease and efficiency. Eager to hear your message, the world awaits. Contact us today to become an Inspired Choices Network radio host. Email becomeahost@inspiredchoicesnetwork.com.
You are listening to the Open Mic Spotlight Show here on Inspired Choices Network. To call in and ask questions, call 815-880-8255 in the U.S., 613-800-8736 in Canada, or Skype us at Inspired Choices Network. Now back to the show.
Welcome back, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. I have a wonderful guest with me, Mary Dravis-Parrish, who is talking about empowering parents so we can have empowered kids. And Mary is known as the Parent Whisperer. If you would like to get in touch with Mary, you can go over to her website, buparenting.com. What a fabulous title, Mary. And you can also connect with her on Facebook, Pinterest, LinkedIn under Enhanced Living, and she's on Google+, and you can also email her at parentwhisperers@gmail.com. I love it. Wow. I just see you, Mary. I don't know. Do you have a picture, Mary, with your two hands cropped around your mouth whispering into somebody's ear? Because I think that would be a fabulous photo.
Oh, that's a great idea.
I'm just seeing you right now going, just listen to me. Just let it go.
Well, that came about because parents would come back to me and they would say, so I'm in the midst of this crisis with my kids, and then I just go, now what would Mary tell me to do? And so, it was like these whispers of support, encouragement, and, you can do this, and, what question can I ask right now? And so, yeah.
Oh, yeah. That's so good. Okay, sorry. I really go visual quick, and that's just what I see. So there you go, Mary. That's what I'm thinking about right now. Okay. So you actually have a book. Is that correct, Mary?
I do. Empowered Parents, Empowering Kids, a guide to BU parenting. And this book came out of doing work with parents and then just really wanting to share these tools with parents. So it's kind of it's a resource book where you can go through, and first of all, it really focuses on identifying what your role as a parent is, and is it really true to who you are. So many times parents are, I'm here to make my kids happy. And that's what I thought too, until I discovered I can't make my kids happy. And I'm not doing such a good job about connecting to my own happiness. And so, how is that really working for you? And is that an empowered place for you to be? And so really identifying what you feel or what you find your role for being a parent truly is about, that empowers you and empowers your kids. So that's where it starts off. And then there's the tools.
That's And
Go
then
ahead.
the tools. We definitely need the tools. I'm just curious. Is our role as a parent the same for all parents?
I guess I would come from a place of that's not for me to tell you, because if I want you to be you, I want you to connect to what's really true for you. I think essentially in an ideal world, I would love for it to come down to the same thing for all of us, but I want to leave that space that, if you really believe that you need to be an authoritarian for your children, that you come to the awareness of how that works for you and how that works for them. And if you discover that that doesn't work for them, then what else are you willing to be that would contribute to your life and to theirs? So I think it's a self-exploration. It's looking at how was I parented? What am I parenting from? Am I parenting from a place of proving that this is right, which never really works either? Or am I resisting and reacting to how resisting and reacting to how my parents were parented me and what I didn't get? So I'm going to, we can swing the pendulum every way, but it really comes down to asking these questions of what's really working for us in empowering ourselves to be here and to let go of the judgments and the wrongness so that we can be free to make the choices to show up and to be a contribution.
Mm-hmm.
I hear so many parents say, I want my child to grow up to be a contribution to society. And it's like, and do you have a specific, sometimes they have a specific what that looks like. And it could just be, the child just shows up for who they are, and that's a contribution, right? We attach things to our expectations about what that means. And if we would stop doing that, it gives us and our children the freedom to be who they are. And, that's such a gift.
And to discover who they are.
Right.
Like
explore.
How many children this was impelled at them. Like I just got a visual really quickly of a mother laying in the hospital, just giving birth. The baby is fresh out of the womb, brand new, 5 minutes in. And, this is going to be a great person in the world. They're going to do great things. They're going to, they can even be the president of the United States. It's like, wow, don't put any pressure on this infant. They just came through the womb. Give the guy a break. Like, hello,
It starts so early, doesn't it? And yet, at that same time, I like to bring people to this place of when that baby was first born. Like, if we just go back to that first moment when we held them and we were in awe of their very presence and their very being. And if we could just connect to just that, because there was no reason that we felt that other than that they existed. They showed up, and that's all it took. They didn't need to do anything. They didn't need to prove anything. They were just this pure joy of presence. And if we could just connect to that more often, and not only for our children, but you were that once. you were that being once that just for being, you were just, people were in awe of just you being. You didn't have to do anything. And can we get back to just that space of, oh my gosh, because I exist, I matter. That's it. And I get to go from that point into, and what else would I like to do to continue that sense of knowing I'm valuable for who I am just by being. It's just a freeing space, but we don't get that very much. So I try to incorporate that in almost every session I have with people.
Wow. Yeah. That statement, because I exist, I matter. You just opened up space. Sorry, I'm losing words right now because I'm in so much space around that. It is, as Rhonda in the chat room says, it is very powerful. Mary, what's the greatest struggle that we as parents have that you have noticed in all the people you've worked with?
Well, I think it's I think it's our self-judgment. I think that's the thing that comes down to what comes between us and others, is how we judge ourselves and continue to make ourselves wrong, and projecting that onto others and how that comes through in our relationships. It's definitely what our children see in us and reflect back to us in a variety of different ways. Either they take it on and they do it themselves, which of course is very destructive, or they are really challenging us to see it for ourselves by believing in us in a different way that we won't believe in ourselves. So I think that's our biggest struggle, is this judgment that we carry. And
right.
Letting go of that, I know, takes effort and work. And although the strategies that I give are simple, asking questions and clearing things away and stepping into different choice, they're simple, but they do take effort because they're new to us. They're not what we've been trained in, and we have not bought into the value of not judging ourselves. Like, I don't know where we bought that there was a value to that, but I know that it exists, that we believe that, and we've got to let go of that belief and step into our own greatness and applaud ourselves for being here, even if on the crappiest of days. Thank you for being here, because we know we have other possibilities and other choices, but thank you, because there is something beyond this, and there is something that going through it can give you, if you're willing to acknowledge yourself and to stop beating yourself up. And that's what I had to do after the death of my son, is I had to move through that guilt and failure and, oh my God, I'm like, what parent allows that to happen? And acknowledging my son and his own empowerment of choice. And, together we've done this dance since he left, and it's been wonderful in coming through and a transformation. But I tell you, being in that cocoon for a while wasn't so wonderful, but it was worth every bit of it to emerge and take flight into something greater.
Yeah. I'd like to pull in something you just said there, because one of the biggest things that I've experienced, and I see so many parents, is walking around with this huge burden of guilt on their shoulders, that they're screwing up, that they screwed up, that they, and what you said was, how could you have allowed your son to do that? And it's an interesting statement. It's an interesting space where we go into the ownership of someone else's choices.
Yes.
What did, if you could just take us back there really quickly, what did have you shift from that space of guilt and ownership into the space of, this was his choice, and and being an allowance and honoring him in that choice? I had to travel through what death meant, because up to that point I hadn't really, when a child dies, you were wondering, where are they? Where is my son? Where is that attachment that you have? And then beginning to explore, so what does it mean to be a parent, and who are our children? And when death happens, what goes on from there? And knowing that we go on, this sense of being an infinite being, and that this is just a moment in space, and it can all have great and grand purpose for us if we allow it to step into the awareness of, what does this really give me, and what's beyond that's greater than I ever imagined. And when I could receive the gift of what he gave me, then I could begin to see the power of choice, and allowing us to have choices, but also the freedom to choose to be in each other's lives to create change. If he hadn't been willing to be this for me, I wouldn't be here helping others. And I think it's a great gift, and it's something that I know has changed lots of lives in what I've been able to share with people. Yes, that is a great gift. And what a blessing you are for him to be able to contribute to you and to the rest of us.
Right. It goes on. It continues. There is no end to it when we are in allowance of letting that happen. Yeah. There's so much more when we can do that.
There is so much more, and we're going to have to get to the so much more right after this next commercial break. I'm telling you, Mary, speed of space, these shows, speed of space. So everyone, you are listening to the open mic today, where we're speaking with the wonderful Mary Dravis-Parrish all about empowering parents to have empowered children. So stay tuned, everyone. We'll be back right after this short commercial break.
Do you have something inspiring to say? Would you like a taste of being one of our inspired hosts? Get on the air on the Inspired Choices Network Open Mic Spotlight Show. The Open Mic Spotlight Show is your time to shine and inspire our global audience. Shows air at 9 a.m. on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday each week. Claim your spot today. Simply contact our network owner at info@inspiredchoicesnetwork.com. Forget the days of 5 minutes of fame. Now you can have 55 minutes of fame.
Are you a subject matter expert? Are you here to share your expertise with an audience waiting to hear from you in only the way you can deliver? Are you ready to have your voice amplified across the airwaves? Inspired Choices Network has a global radio platform streaming to millions of people across the world. Professionally produced and supported by an accomplished team every step of the way, you can broadcast from anywhere in the world, knowing your voice matters, and we ensure it is delivered with ease and efficiency. Eager to hear your message? The world awaits. Contact us today to become an Inspired Choices Network radio host. Email becomeahost@inspiredchoicesnetwork.com.
You are listening to the Open Mic Spotlight Show here on Inspired Choices Network. To call in and ask questions, call 815-880-8255 in the U.S., 613-800-8736 in Canada, or Skype us at Inspired Choices Network. Now back to the show.
Welcome, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. If you're just joining us, we have the wonderful Mary Parrish. Sorry, brain is completely jumping all over. Mary Dravis-Parrish joining us, and we are talking all about empowering parents, empowered parents, empowering kids. And Mary has been diving into lots of different spaces. I mean, we could go into so many different angles with all of this, Mary, but I'd like to talk about the wonderful gifts that you have for all of our listeners. And maybe you could just share what you're actually contributing to everyone joining us today.
Yeah, I'm happy to. So first of all, there's an audio download of the first 3 chapters of Empowered Parents, Empowering Kids, which will take you through that first part of identifying your role as a parent and giving you some reflection time and asking some questions about that. There's also a free empowerment survey. So often we don't know where we're giving our power away. And so there's I think there's 14 questions that you can answer to get an awareness of where you may be giving your power away and maybe even disempowering your children too, because if you're not being empowered, then they're probably taking over and then they feel like that's who they are, and that's not really how this all works. So you can take that survey and then it will take you to solutions and possibilities that you can address those issues with. And then finally, we have an Empowered Living series that meets monthly with a monthly focus. And this month in March, we're focusing on committing to us. And so if you'd like to join that, you can. It's a free series. Every week you get an email with what's going on this week or a challenge for the week. And you can always backtrack and go back to our past series depending on what topic you would like to work on. And it will give you all the tools, the videos, whatever we've used that month for that. So you're invited to join us there and join other empowered beings who are, using tools to become more empowered in life.
That's awesome. Mary, you're giving away the farm there, girl. That's amazing.
We need empowered beings, I tell you.
You've set yourself on a mission. It's beautiful, and what a wonderful contribution to all of us that are still, my children, Mary, are 32 and 21, and I'm still like, okay, am I getting this right yet? Like, am I, which direction do I need to go? And it's funny, I know I look at my mom. My mom's 94 years old, Mary, and she still looks at how to parent her kids. It doesn't end. And
no, and thank you for saying that, Christine, because, I get a lot of parents who, like, I'm at a fair or something, and they come by and they see it and they say, oh, I'm all done with that. And it's like, well, that's an interesting thought there, because you're never really done, because it's a relationship. And
yes,
you want to continue to grow that relationship, but you want to grow your relationship with self. And as you change, can't help but change the relationship you have with your kids at whatever age. I know my oldest is in his 40s, and it's continuing to change. I am continuing to see where I can still be in more allowance and encourage him in different ways by being more of who I am and not falling into my old ways of being. So it never ends. It never ends. And I don't think we want it to.
You know what I don't think we do either. And you know what I love about what you've just said? It's like when we're willing to show our children that we can choose beyond anything we've ever chosen before, we really do empower them to see that they have that available to them as well, so that we're not perpetuating this self-judgment. Because we do pass everything down to our children, including the self-judgment. And, that's right. as you talk about your choosing and you're continuing to be you and choosing more into empowering yourself, your children will also come out of that judgment.
Right. I also want to let parents know, especially parents with adult children, but this could also be with younger children, that as you step into being more of you, you may find that you get resistance because they're used to you being a certain way also. They're used to being able to manipulate you in certain ways or take advantage of you because, you would judge yourself or you would fall into guilt. I mean, we've kind of almost entrained them in that way. And so just because you're stepping into more being who you are, there can be some fallout on the other side as they watch this and discover what it means for them. And so that's where being in the question with them and empowering them to be who they are. They're not, it's not something we just automatically want to step into. We've found a comfortable space here, even if it's not really what's working for us. And so coming through and being willing to be uncomfortable in having some space, some freedom of choice, some allowance for ourselves can feel really different. And so it's going to probably feel different for others too. So just be aware of that. And doesn't mean you have to stop or anything. It's just observe, be in question, ask what's required here for others.
That's a great question. What's required here for others? Even when we are moving forward into a space of more joy and more living, we're changing the dance, and people actually don't know how to dance in that new space.
Right. And you're talking about being more joy. I think about my son who really had, depression, and he was really focused on making other people happy, but really just had some kind of belief that he couldn't be happy. And my gosh, I don't know where he got that from because, actually I did a great job of showing him that, of giving him that perception that our job is to make others happy and to kind of forget about ourselves. And he there was a value in that. And so we have to be aware of what are people making valuable to them. And sometimes there's a belief that if I'm not happy but others are, that's good. That's a value. And so they may not change. They may not choose what you're choosing. They might not see the value of your own joy. And that's okay. That's where we be an allowance of who they are and, giving them choice.
Mary, is that still, I mean, you've been a parent for many years. Is that still as rampant as ever, that it's more important for others to be happy than me?
I see it in almost every single parent I see, that there is a value in serving others, and that's more important than taking care of myself. That's why there's so much burnout. And that's the judgment comes in, that I'm not worthy of, or that I can't have both. That for some reason I can't take care of myself first and then be better to take care of others, or to be able to be of assistance to others. I think it's still very rampant, and it's on the cusp of change, but it's got a long ways to go.
Yeah, like Rhonda says, that's so painful to know. I am having a moment of, and I need to go into more allowance of it, but I am having a moment of, damn, there's a lot of us out here doing a lot of work, and from the space of desire to contribute, and that's still so strong. I guess just continuing to do what we do and being an allowance even of ourselves will start to shift it some more. And certainly the work that you're doing, Mary, is so amazing.
Yeah, and if it's not filling you up, if it's not working for you, I mean, this is the simple question: is, as I'm serving others or as I'm contributing to others, is it really working for me? Is it bringing me more joy? I mean, the days that I go through where I don't see clients, I kind of like, okay, well, that's part of my joy. That's not everything that brings me joy, but it's a huge part, and I miss it. And so I have to look at other things that fill me up and give me joy and choose those things. But I know it's what lights me up. And so in that way, it is a contribution to my life and creating more. So it's really being aware of what your contribution to others, how it includes you being you, that you don't disassociate yourself with that, but that you bring your whole being into it, your choice, your awareness, your allowance, your joy, where you want to choose to come from in that.
I like that. Where do you want to choose to come from? That's really, really, really awesome. So tell us some success stories, if you can, of course, not naming anyone, but tell us some success stories with some of your clients and what's going on for their children now as they become empowered parents.
Yeah. Well, the first one that comes to mind is a parent who came to me. Her go-to tool was to yell at her kids, as if that would motivate them and create a greater relationship. And as we worked through her yelling and where that was coming from and who she was being and all of that, and began to let go of that and do some different tools around acknowledging what's going on with your kids and asking some questions, she came in after a few sessions and said, I'm really so much better at that. I know I still have some work to do, but I am more aware when I'm doing it, and I can do do-overs, and I can stop judging myself for it and go into the question of what's going on for me that's triggering that. And she said, and her kids are so much more willing to contribute to her life. There's less conflict. There's more teamwork together, that we're a family and we're doing this together. And her kids feel empowered to be a part of that more so when they don't feel like they're always being yelled at. So that's one story that comes to mind. Another story is a woman who was really in grief, single parent, going to school, working, trying to raise her two children after a deep loss, and watching her transform into believing in herself, moving through her grief into something greater and acknowledging the gift that she is to her kids. And just the other day, she told me, she said, it really works when I'm in allowance of my kids. They feel so empowered. They feel like they really matter and that they have something to contribute to our family. And just when I see their faces light up when they talk about this, I know the transformation that's happening and that they're really connecting to these possibilities that they can continue to work on. It's so great, so great.
That's fabulous. That is so wonderful. And Mary, when you're connecting with the parents, what is the greatest joy that they're receiving as they see their children starting to step forward?
I think it's like they finally see, first of all, they see that it's not so hard to do this, that there is ease and joy in parenting as their children emerge, and they get to see a light come on in their kids. Like they get to see them really show up and feel confident being who they are. And knowing that they're a part of that they're contributing to that they're nurturing that and bringing that along. And even when they just begin to get glimpses at the beginning, they see what's possible. And deep down, that's what they want. They want their kids to be in that joy of being who they are. And even though it may be a struggle to be who you are, there's still a joy in that, of knowing that it's coming and that they're learning and they're experiencing. And sometimes it's not the easiest or fastest or happiest road that they go down, but they know that they're emerging being more of who they are and stronger.
That's so beautiful. I love the one word that you said, and it really, in my mind, just changes the whole parenting child dynamic, is we're nurturing these children. We're nurturing them. We're not making their choices. We're not owning their choices. We can't make them do or be something that they're not, but we can nurture them in being who they are.
Right. I think that's our job, is to nurture and there's and looking at what's the true kindness that we give to our kids. It's not about taking away their responsibilities or feeling like what they choose is our fault. That's not a kindness. And to truly be kind to our kids means to be an allowance of them, to allow them to have the struggles, the experiences that will bring them forth and allow them to emerge. And, it comes down to, isn't that what you would have liked? Wouldn't you have wanted that from your growing up experience, to have been able to choose to know more of what you're truly aware of, how to sense what's going to work, what's not going to work? I know I would have liked more of that.
There would have been a lot of psychiatrists out of work at this time had we received that when we were young. Sorry. This is my brain, Mary. I just, I see when I was growing up, one of the greatest things that my parents did was nurturing, with food and nurturing with ensuring that the bills were paid. And yet they weren't nurtured to find out who they were. And then, they didn't know how to do that for me or do that for the rest of us. And this continues to perpetuate into the future with all of our parenting as well. But what you're doing and what you're offering and your team are offering to the world is such a beautiful breath of fresh air of there is another possibility. There absolutely is another choice. And I applaud you for stepping forward, because I'm sure that this wasn't really super easy for you at the beginning. But this is such a contribution in the world. Just this conversation for me has shifted something, and I'm sure for our listeners as well. So let me just say first and foremost, thank you. For the parent in me, thank you very much.
Well, I appreciate that. And I also appreciate you talking about our parents and acknowledging that they're doing the best they could with what they had. And I would my greatest wish for parents right now too is to please acknowledge that you've been doing the best you can with what you have, and that there's never been an intention to hurt or harm your children. And even if you have, in your own mind, hurt or harmed them, it's not too late to move beyond that. It's never too late to step into something greater and to heal those past relationships just by simply acknowledging that you were doing the best you can, letting go of your guilt, and moving forward with, now what? What else is possible beyond this that I'm dealing with right now? And then choose something else. Choose whatever it is, something different that will change that course. And that's the empowerment that exists for all of us when we're willing to choose it and get the energy of what it will create for our future. Like you said, this has been going on for so long, but that does not mean that this is what's right or good or creating more for us. It is now the time for us to begin to make some changes for the future, for our kids' futures, so that, those psychiatrists can be out of work in the future. I would really love to see that.
Sorry to all the psychiatrists out there, but I'm sure there's going to be still lots of work you can do, so don't worry.
I'm sure. But, less and less. And what difference would it make to our planet to have our children, our generations, our future generations to be empowered in this way? We would be unstoppable in making the changes that can make us thrive, not just survive. And that's my desire to be the contribution for this. That's what I see in the future. That's the energy I get, that there's just a huge expansion of creativity just waiting to explode even further than what we're getting a taste of now. I watch these little kids who are entrepreneurs and, they're just not taking no for an answer, and they're going forward. And I ask for more of their energy for myself because they're unstoppable and so wonderful for us to have that gift in our lives.
Wow. I am wide awake now and turned right up, Mary. I am ready to just change the world today with everything that you're sharing. It's so exciting, and I'm getting the energy of what you're seeing and what you're knowing. It's extremely exciting. I feel like I need to go for a run or something. I've got so much energy running through my body right now. It's fabulous. So if you would like to learn more about what's possible for your parenting, for you being a parent, and for you to be able to have more amazingness with being a parent, with empowering your children, please do connect with Mary at BUparenting.com. Of course, if you're listening to this replay, or if you're listening live, come over to the Inspired Choices Network and click on the Open Mic Spotlight Show for March the 14th, 2018, and in there you will see all the links to these amazing free gifts that Mary is contributing to all of us, and I'll be doing that by the end of today. I will go and get my gift because I would like more of this. So please do that. Connect with Mary and see what else is truly possible for you, and what you can receive and what you can change for all of our beings on this planet when you be more of you and become empowered yourself. So thank you, Mary, so much for being with us today. I feel like the conversation's not done, but the clock's nearly done.
Thank you. My joy to be here.
Oh, so good. So everyone, please do connect with Mary, and if you'd like to ask her a question directly, you can email her at parentwhispers@gmail.com. Mary, you've got to get that photo done that I asked about, and I would love to see that photo.
I'll get to work on that.
You're definitely whispering. Awesome. Thank you again. Thank you, everyone. Stay tuned. We'll have another show coming up right after this.
Thank you for listening to the Open Mic Spotlight Radio Show. We will be here Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, 8 a.m. Central, 11 a.m. Mountain, and 6 a.m. Pacific on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com. We hope you'll join us. Until then, continue to create you with joy and inspiration.